So I just wanted to spend a few minutes just talking about type 1 diabetes and where we are. So things have moved incredibly quickly, which is great news. There are 4 different pump systems. I suppose I ought to name them just in case you're wondering. Tandem, the Medtronic pump, but now the company's changed name, so they're Minimed. The Ipsomed pump is the one that's particularly licensed for pregnancy, and on the right-hand side, the Omnipod, which is the patch pump with no tubing. And again, formatting's wrecked my slides. But good news is that there is some reimbursement from the central government. It's not the full amount, it's 3/4 of the amount for a set number of people. And so what they've said now just over a couple of years ago is that they would like everybody with HbA1cs above 58 to get onto a hybrid closed loop system. And they made lots of assumptions in that, and so I'm not sure their numbers will hold up. But they have said that they'll fund this £120 million nationally this year, another £120 million next year, and I can't remember the amount for year 5. But they're saying, in amongst all the political turmoil, have we got a new PM? I don't know. That they have said that this money is safe. And so locally, the ICB said, yes, we can, we'll aim to meet this technology appraisal, otherwise they could face litigation if they don't. But they said we can't do it all at once. So let's concentrate on some priority groups, which are those that are pregnant, planning pregnancy, or those that are under 19. I begged for them to think about the young adults that are still in school and college, and so we've got a bit of local leeway for those. So if they're above 58 HbA1c, then they can go on these systems. And then for other people, for adults, they need to have some complications due to probably their years of poor glycemia, and so they need to have microalbuminuria or be seen in eye clinic. And it's very unusual to actually get neuropathy without one of the other 2. So that's what we've been doing. And as Natalie will tell you, I was quite late with my slides, so this was made on Tuesday. And it's a young man with learning difficulties, and we've just got him onto a pump in April, and this is what it's done. He went onto the pump on the 10th of April, and then this is the last 2 weeks, and you can see he's got 55% in range. It's not a flat line, but instead of having an HbA1c of 90, if he keeps using it in the same way as he is, because he didn't actually come to clinic, if he keeps using it the way that he is, then his HbA1c will be 59 in 3 months. So it doesn't have to be perfect. These are so good, we just need to get people on them and vaguely to keep them on most of the time. So for a pump now to be of any use, you need to have people that are wearing sensors most of the time, because the sensor drives the pump. Every 5 minutes, the sensor is telling the pump what the glucose is. Oh, they've had a few biscuits at break time, need to increase the insulin, and now they're walking home, the glucose is falling, and so it suspends the insulin. So it's our job to get them on, and it's your job, please, to refer them to us. So we know that over the years, we will have upset some patients that don't want to come and see us. You know, somebody died in the northern, 20 years ago, they've never forgiven us. But they need to come and see us, because things have changed. And so we audited all our starts in the last 2 years. And so we've got people, it's going to die, I'm going to go back. People with HbA1cs under 59 would be those that have problems with hypoglycemia or pregnant or planning pregnancy. And so they started with a median HbA1c of 50, time in range 57%. You're allowed up to 4% hypo, so they're getting quite close to that on average, because some people would be running 8 or 10% hypo. And then this is what they've dropped to afterwards. So this group jumped to 70% in range with less than 4% hypo, which is perfect. Okay, but they were pretty good to begin with. The middle group, again, would be hypoglycemia or planning pregnancy. And you can see here, we jumped to 58% from 42%, and the HbA1c has gone from 64 to 58. So obviously, the higher your starting HbA1c, the bigger the drop. In a way, the most important group are those with the high HbA1cs, because you know those are the ones that are going to have damage. They are the biggest group, so half the people. Starting HbA1c 87 dropped to 69. And that's the same as the national pilot that actually drove all these funding decisions, which is really good that it works in real practice. Okay, let's get that. Okay, so who normally gets tech? People that put their hands up, people that attend events. If you all have diabetes, you go, I want one of those. So what we've been trying to do is find people that, it's the inverse care law. The people that need it most are not the people that read The Guardian and are going to come and ask for it. So just as a measure of what we've been trying to do with deprivation, the blue bars are the three most deprived deciles. We've then got the middle ground and then the least deprived. So this is our type 1 population in Sheffield. We then had a look at the deprivation of those with decent control but just needed to be better, for instance for pregnancy, and guess what? The more affluent bar has got bigger. But I want you to concentrate on this bar. So these are the most deprived people, and as you go up in HbA1c, that bar gets significantly bigger. But overall, because we targeted the high HbA1cs, half of our pump starts in the last 2 years have been to people that are most deprived, because they've got the most to gain. So the ICB have done us, I think, a favour in that we will be slowing down complications. Yes, we're not going to make a difference on the bank balance in April, but in 5 years' time, there'll be less referrals going to eye clinic, there'll be less kidney disease, and what I didn't say, and I should say, is hats off to the paediatricians. They've got something like 92% of their 250 youngsters on hybrid closed-loop systems. So it's completely different now. No child should think that they're going to develop complications. We just need to keep them on the tech. Some of those will have parents that are under your care. So I've been going to the children's department and saying, is there any relatives that are basically teaching them bad habits? So you might have some parents or aunts or uncles who you know that there's a child on a pump, more than happy to put them on a pump as a role model. One of the mums said, I really don't want a pump, but you want me to be a role model? I went, yep, let's crack on. It will do you good and it will do your youngster good as well. So please do refer anybody with type 1 diabetes to come and have a conversation. I meant to bring one of the pumps today. The pump itself, most pumps are smaller than that, kind of lengthwise, and the Omnipod is about half the length of that, and it's about 8 millimeters thick. So an Omnipod is a bit bigger than a sensor. If you can get people wearing sensors and you can get them sat in front of us, then we can say, actually, this thing that is a little bit bigger than a sensor can deliver insulin in an almost perfect way for 3 days, and then you have to change it. So, again, the formatting back there. 2013, we had 120 people on pumps, and we started doing the NHS pilot in 2021. At the end of 21, we had 282. In 2022, I said, please not wait for NICE, because this is life-changing. So we started accelerating, and we've got 1,037 now people on these pumps. There's some challenging characters in there, but most of them are a lot better off. And even if they don't use it perfectly, they're still getting a drop, let's say from 90 down to 70. And we've got time to work on them to hopefully improve it more. So, I was crunching the numbers. There will be some people with good HbA1cs who not got severe hypos. So the 766 under the current NICE guidance, the technology appraisal would not be eligible. That still leaves us over 1,000, over 1,200. When the NHS did their figures, they're saying not everybody will want these, but the systems are getting better and easier to use, so their economic analysis might not work very well. And as I said, your job is just to refer them so at least we can have the conversation. Okay, so just to summarise then, first question, please double check if you've got a patient who's not on an SGLT2, just think why not. Try it again, use DAPA, it's cheaper. I think it's always helpful to have a look at the data. Data doesn't lie, but you might think, oh, I've got some inconsistencies, but it makes you at least look at your process, doesn't it? And at the moment, we are missing a lot of SGLT2s across Sheffield. If you've got any headspace, and I appreciate not everybody's got headspace, and you want to learn more about GLP-1s and CGM, then let us know. Think about if you can join up with another practice in your PCN maybe. If you've got people, and you will have people on insulin, 2 injections a day, HbA1c 80 for the last 10 years, ask industry to come in and start CGM on them if you've not got time yourself. And please do make more use of the advice and guidance. I'll try to be as helpful as possible. And again, refer everybody to ones. I want to thank you for your attention. Thank you to Debbie and for the team and for everybody who's been involved in trying to work out the strategy. And as I said, if you've got ideas, please do use that previous QR code to submit ideas. Thank you. This is one that's working.